Yep, record is in progress. All right. So let's see. 1 second. Over here. All right. Welcome to Space City Rocketry 2021-2022 General Meeting for August 10th. Project Zenith. I'm happy to see a good turnout today and just seeing a lot of familiar faces, also some new faces. Of course, first off is the agenda. Here we have the meeting overview. We're going to be talking about the weekly shout outs first. A very important project update, something we kind of ran into last week while we had a meeting with an alumni. Then next up, something updates. And then again, I'll mention the Google Drive again and just recruitment. All right, but before that, we're gonna bring this up again. Gustavo is gonna talk about this.
So I guess as we've mentioned for the past 2 weeks, there was a graphics card found to be missing from the lab, and that was purchased with government money for research. So if that is in fact lost or stolen, then the team can see some pretty serious consequences for that. So as a consequence, we're going to be changing a little bit of our lab policy. We said we would be changing the locks, which those have now been updated. So only the sub-team leads, project manager, which is Irvin, chief engineer me, JP, or Omar, have access to that key. And so you need one of them present to be in the lab. Also, we will be reinstating the sign in and sign out thing, and we're gonna start being very strict about it. So make sure you do that whenever you go in and out of the lab. Also, well, I guess I'll give a chance for questions if anybody has any. Nope. Okay. Next slide. Yes. So on the note of changing lab policy, we also want to reiterate and add some things to how we want to handle ourselves with the team. No horseplay, food, or drinks in the lab. I know some of us have been guilty of that in the past, but that is a big no. No, nothing can be eaten or drinking in the lab. Not just because, well, it can be contaminated by like just whatever, but also that lab has radiation equipment in it. So if any of that gets in your food, then that's not good for you. So we cannot have that. I guess as an alternative, there is a lobby on the second floor of SR. You guys are more than welcome to go down there and eat, but please do not even bring food into the lab with you. It's not like just don't eat it in the lab, it's just don't bring it into the lab with you. Next, we have please wear a mask in the lab. I know we can't really force you guys to wear a mask, but with the current COVID situation worsening, also I know President Couture sent a reminder, like an update on the whole situation. We're going to be following along with that. So we can't force anybody to wear a mask, but we highly encourage everybody to wear a mask in the lab. One additional thing is to keep non-members, like they'll bring them to your lab with you. It's cool if they want to visit, and that's perfectly fine, but we can set up proper visits if need be. But just no need to be bringing people in and out willy-nilly in the lab. We also want to keep the team respectful and professional. I think that should be self-explanatory, but treat your teammates and peers with respect. Try to attend meetings from an appropriate location. Don't be driving while you're attending meetings. That's one, not safe, and we don't want that. And watch your language, please. These meetings do get recorded and they're posted on YouTube, so we want to make sure we're presenting ourselves in a professional manner. Also, we want to make sure that all members of AIAA are in areas designated for students and members. So whether that be somewhere in the lab or anywhere else on campus, make sure you aren't going anywhere you're not supposed to. Any questions? No. Okay, we'll continue. I guess Irvin, you're muted, by the way. I don't know if you're going over those. I guess I'll take over for a second. As we've done in the past few weeks, we will be doing weekly shout outs. First of all, we want to give a shout out to Ravi and Analysis. They did great work last week. They did a lot of, well, also alongside of doing all their stuff with the decision matrix last week. This week they met with Andrew Advani, an alumni that now works at ULA, and they learned a whole lot of stuff about FEA and what it's for and how it's used. I guess I'm getting a shout out this week as well for being a great
Yeah,
chief engineer.
sorry,
That's
I
subjective.
accidentally muted myself, but yeah, I just want to shout out Gustavo for being a great chief engineer. Got to
Yeah.
put it in there.
Yeah. Okay. So continue on. We got Jean Pierre. He apparently worked very hard on learning how to use OpenRocket for analysis. So big shout out to him. Great work, John. And then Propulsion, they did a lot of research on motors this week. So that's really good for them.
All right. Project update.
So there is a bit of a happenstance that happened or that we ran into this past week. We originally were trying to aim for a 4-inch diameter rocket, which is a minimum diameter rocket because, well, we wanted to reduce drag, which means minimizing the diameter to the diameter of the motor would have been our best bet. And so we were designing around that, but we discovered that we can gain an additional 50 points if we decide to go with CubeSat standards. That means the payload for the scientific payload that we're going to be using for competition needs to be 100 by 100 millimeters, which means the diagonal is 5.5 inches. And we overlooked that. But if we want to get the extra 50 points, which can help us if there's I guess like a close call with scoring or whatever, we would need to conform to that 100 millimeters by 100 millimeter dimension. So that will cause us to have to rethink some of the decisions we've made. So our options going forward are to forfeit 50 points and like not even worry about it. It's 50 points, or we can increase the diameter of the rocket to at least 5.5 inches to like accommodate the CubeSat standards. We could do it for the entire rocket. So the entire length of the rocket would be the 5.5 inches, or we could just have like a fairing kind of deal going on, where one section, which would be the payload section, has the 5.5-inch diameter. For now, we will be asking, or Urban and I are asking all the sub teams to have their specific trade studies, where they're looking at the pros and cons of each one of those 3 decisions. And then they're going to come back to us at the end of a week or 2, and we'll make a decision as a team whether to go with forfeiting the 50 points, going with a section that's just 5.5, or the entire length of the rocket, 5.5 inches. Slide. Just an update for the project as a whole. I know we started 7 weeks ago officially with Zenith, and we allotted 2.5 to 3 months worth of design work. So out of the 2.5, we're 7 weeks in. So we have 3 weeks left to a month on design work. That's when our PDR would have taken place, but I know there's still a bit of work to do. But for the PDR, what we'd like to include is just mostly finished designs, what we're going to be including with the rocket, how we're going to do it, all that stuff, a bill of materials and an estimated budget. So just, I mean, that's self-explanatory. And then a Gantt chart for the remainder of the work. So we want to make sure we have at least some kind of outline of how our work is going to look for the rest of the year. And then a little note right there, the PDR can change. So, I mean, we had like 3rd week of school kind of planned for it, but that is available to be moved around. We still want to aim for that if we can. Slide.
Yeah, so next up, sub-team updates. This is the order we have them right now, and each sub-team lead has their own slide. So first up, analysis, Ravi.
All right, so for analysis this week, Irvin and I met with Andrew Advani mainly for FEA advice. And as Gustavo mentioned, he is a structural analysis engineer at ULA. And he actually, fun fact, uses some of the same programs that, or same software that we will be using to complete some FEA. In our weekly meeting, JP went over his rocket design or his open rocket design. And shout out to him because I think it's his first time really diving deep into open rocket. So he did a great job with kind of putting together some stuff, and hopefully the rest of the team can come up with their own designs and we can have more conversations about that. Then I talked about FEA, kind of what I learned from my meeting with Andrew. It included, if you can look at the bottom right picture, I thought that was a good graphic from a YouTube video about how FEA attacks one problem by breaking it up into smaller ones, solving those, and then reassembling it. So if you're interested in FEA and I guess more engineering and math stuff, analysis is the team for you. But also I've been kind of behind the scenes working on ClickUp and kind of determining how I want our timeline to work in terms of a progression of tasks and how we can build up from the ground on our FEA knowledge, and hopefully aiming for the start of the PDR by being comfortable with FEA. And then some new tasks that were introduced to us this week. Amy and Irvin have been talking about using mathematical modeling to find the CP, or center of pressure, of a rocket by hand, and using those calculations instead of referring to software such as OpenRocket or RockSim. And then we also have down the line a structural analysis task where we'll do some compression testing on 3D printed carbon fiber and compare that to the strength of the regular PLA. But yeah, that's what analysis did this week.
Thank you, Robbie. I don't know if V is here.
Yes, I'm here. I'm sorry. I have been on the road all day, so I haven't been able to make my slides. But as far as updates go for avionics, I'm having all of the members do research into the subsystems that they have selected last week. And we're gonna have each of them present a slide over the research that they've done over the week. Other than that, we kind of went over the pre-flight checklist, and that's about where we're at right now.
All right, Tala, COTS propulsion. Wait, thank you, V.
Okay, so for COTS propulsion this week, we started compiling the list of candidate motors. Each member came up with minimum 2. And so currently we have a list of 9, so including the ones that we looked at last semester. Given our project update about changing the diameter of the motor of the rocket overall, we may need to include a bit of more high-end motors so far, but we have made good progress in getting together at least a preliminary list. Next up, we will be doing our trade study. In our decision matrix, we came up with new criteria that we want to focus on, mainly taking a look at, for example, thrusters. So as we see like on the right. But yes, overall, first, we're going to take care of the trade study about the new diameter, and then it's going to be the trade study with this new criteria to select our motor before PDR.
Thank you, Tala. And then Carlos, recovery.
Hey, so for recovery, it was kind of a not really productive week due to recovery just not being available this week. We had to push back our proposed design presentations a week. So hopefully this Sunday is a little bit better with availability, and we plan on having the first week of proposed design presentations. And I forgot to include it here, but tomorrow I'll get started on the ClickUp for recovery, just for recovery members and the rest of the team. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it for recovery. Oh, and the trade study.
Thank you. Structures.
So we didn't do too much this week, but something that I did kind of assign last meeting was a design project for everyone to kind of come up with a way to secure our current modular fin canister designs onto the rocket. And then something that will be in discussion, obviously with the trade study and everything, is how can we either modify these designs or come up with new designs to fit a change in the diameter. And then of course we'll also be focusing on the part of the trade study of if we want to do a consistent diameter the entire way. And then we kind of worked on ClickUp and tried to start getting familiar with it. And then we'll go ahead and try to finish up getting a good idea of what tasks we want to tackle over the next few weeks.
All right. Thank you, Haley. All right. Thank you, sub-team leads. Very great updates. I'm gonna bring this up again with the Google Drive, just in case if y'all missed the last meeting. The Google Drive is up and running. Here is the way I have organized the folders. You have all the sub teams in there, and then you also have a document template with a bunch of templates for any sort of document. You can go on there and find anything. And if you go and you see that we're missing something, just let Gustavo and I know, and we'll start working on creating one. And then at the bottom, you see the folders inside each of the sub teams. So each sub team has these folders inside of them. If the sub team lead or a member suggests we should add one specific to your sub team or just in general, we can definitely take a look at that and see if it works. But this is what we have right now. You can go in there, sub team leads, all your presentations, your slides. If you can upload in there any resources or anything sources, you can just always add them there and let your members know. And then recruitment. Gustavo, you want to take over this one?
Yeah, so as you guys know, Irvin and I have been recruiting for the past few weeks. We've had some good success. We've added around like 10 members so far. I think we still have 2 interviews left. We do want to put a hold on it, so we're not going to be really asking anybody to refer any more members until the semester starts, or we're going to have an actual application form and process. So once we get that dialed in, we'll give any further updates on that, and then we can get some new members added.
And then I guess let's keep the floor open for any questions regarding anything.
I guess I just had one question about the new members. Are the ones that got added during the summer gonna have to reapply in the fall?
They will not. So I think we still have to get all the members to pay for this coming year because it's a new cycle. But everybody who's in the Discord right now, I think will be already a member by like de facto member. And anybody else who wants to join will have to join through a formal application process.
I have a question. I have a question for structures. I know it's only been a day, Haley, but I guess initial reactions on how or in what way the change of the diameter could affect us having a fin can, and do you think there's a possibility of us having like a new iteration of an MMM?
Yeah, so that was kind of something that I was going to bring up in my meeting on Thursday with everyone else, is kind of that discussion of if we want to do a complete redesign and go for more of an MMM route with centering rings and mounting it on those, or if we want to go more of modifying the current designs that we've been considering. Because well, yes, we know that something like an MMM will work. I think it's, good to look at our options and just consider if maybe we want to stick with trying something new. And if it doesn't work, then maybe we can fall back on an MMM idea. But that'll be up for discussion with my members and I. It's not my decision to make.
That sounds good. Thank you.
I got a question for structural team. Will it be okay?
Say it again?
That should be okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
So basically, the structure team is the build team for the analysis team, right? Right?
It pretty much deals with like any of like the structural or like material components of the rocket.
So you guys doing the simulations or you guys doing the experimental?
For the most part, we're gonna be like we're like the design part of the team. So like a lot of some of what you're mentioning would fall under analysis. Some of what you're mentioning falls under us. Kind of. I'm not 100% sure where the line of like what gets put to analysis and what gets put to structures yet, since analysis is new this semester and what it is operating as.
Okay.
Yeah, I can answer that question a little bit more for you. So I guess structures is in charge of the design of any structural component, and then analysis role in that would be to help out structures to conduct any testing, run any simulations needed to, I guess, verify that our decisions are, possible. Like we can actually build anything they have designed. And that goes as well for anything else that any other sub team comes up with. Analysis is there to help out and get those testing and simulations done.
Okay. And the analysis, you guys using a software like Open Rocket, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
analysis is
Okay. Yeah, I'm a new people. I'm a new person here, so I don't know anything.
Yeah, so OpenRocket, and also we're going to be using RockSim, is going to take care of our responsibility to do a flight simulation. So a huge part of scoring at spaceport and the competition is based on your predicted apogee. So using softwares like OpenRocket and RockSim, we're able to simulate the flight of our rocket and any rocket that you can design and get that predicted apogee number. So analysis also takes care of that, along with what we're looking to do with FEA, CFD, and any other, I guess, testing data that other sub-teams need.
A lot of what we're doing, it's going to be kind of a mix of like working together. So like, for example, we're not just going to like tell analysis, hey, we want to know the shape of the fins, what works. So it's going to be a lot of like talking back and forth. Like maybe we'll come up with a bunch of ideas and then kind of offer up, okay, let's discuss with analysis, and see what how we can determine this.
Okay. Good to know. Okay, that's all I need to know. Thank you.
I have a question for recovery. Carlos, from what you've read and you've researched, are you still encouraging your members at all to come up with any mechanical separation systems, or are you still, I guess, saying maybe not?
I think our focus for now is just actually getting a system that we're pretty certain would work. Depending on how long it takes for us to test and finalize recovery design, we would like to eventually begin working on a mechanical separation system, but that would be like down the line. But I mean, if a recovery member does want to propose a mechanical design, they're more than welcome to.
Okay. And question for V.
Yeah, I'm here.
V, I know you messaged us today about the flight computers and how right now they're very expensive. and there might be a possibility of using the EC Mini. Can you explain that a little bit more?
I'm sorry, I missed that last part that you asked about. You mentioned the prices being higher, and then what was the last part? I'm sorry.
Using an EC Mini.
Yeah, so the thing with IREC rules, officially we can't use two of the same flight computer, and it's recommended that we don't use two of the same brand of flight computer, though it's not an official rule that we can't use two of the same brand. So what I want to stay away from is using two Altus OS branded boards. So the Easy Mini is a Altus OS board, so is the Telemetrum. And the Telemetrum is fine, but the Stratologger is broken. The problem is Stratologger is like a $100 board, which would be no issue. I mean, it's I think $85, not $100, but no issue. But they're completely out of stock. And almost all flight computers are either out of stock or up $50 to $100 right now. And again, ideally, we don't want to use from the same brand because if, for example, Altus has a problem where they faulty firmware that the Apogee doesn't release, then it's likely that Apogee is not going to release from both of the Altus computers instead of just one Altus computer. So it would ruin the point of having a backup system. So the goal would be to find a flight computer that's in stock and at a good price that is not from Altus that we can use. And I'm going to check that when I'm home.
Okay. Thank you, V. I love the explanation. That's all the questions I had. If anyone else wants to ask anything.
Hey, Irvin, do you mind if I ask one question?
Yeah, you can.
Yeah, sure. So I'm just wondering about the payload section of the, like, have y'all planned about what type of payload you guys would be using on Zenith or?
So as for payload, since we don't have a team and the way it worked last year, we got a biomedical engineering students to capstone team to work on payload. What we want to do right now is wait for the semester to start and talk to all the capstone teams for engineering or anyone else who's interested in, I guess, working on that to see if anyone come up with a really good idea and then go on from there. I don't know if you want to add anything else for that, Gustavo.
I'm sorry, what was the question?
The question was whether have you guys planned anything different for payload? Like what's going on with payload right now is just the, the curious question.
I don't think there has been much of a discussion on payload aside from whether or not we're going to go with the CubeSat standard.
Okay, cool. It's just interesting because I was thinking after Erin's response, maybe I just thought of this like randomly. Maybe it could work, maybe not. If we could gather a team together when the semester starts and gather individuals that seek to build something, like they can think of something to build as far as payload and like something that could, I don't know, maybe gather data, not a SRAD computer, but something that could be an experiment in our rocket. They could develop something on their own. Like essentially it's a separate project besides the rocket and they put it in that rocket. I know you're probably thinking, okay, we could probably use a capsuling team, but like what I'm trying to say is like have our own little team that's not capstone.
So
and we use it.
JP, just to piggyback off what you mentioned there, the team at the University of something, it's UA, I forget exactly where they were, there's some school in Alabama, they scored one above us on competition. And what they did for their payload, they actually had a drone come out of their payload, land, and then when the drone lands, an RC car comes out of the drone. So that is something. We have a UAV team that I know, focuses predominantly on their on competition UAV, and I think they should continue to focus on it. But I think, if we propose to them like, hey, a couple of you maybe want to help out the rocket team and build a payload, maybe a couple of them would be down to work with us.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. We want to consider all our options and see what fits best. But I guess if we don't find anything, or if somebody has a really good idea, just like the one we mentioned, and they really want to assemble a team, then they can speak to us and we'll figure out, who's gonna take charge of payload. But I guess right now we're just keeping the any ideas open and for discussion. But yeah,
Okay.
that sounds awesome. The drone and the RC car.
Yep. I know one team did have a little UAV that they sent out like mid-launch that goes and like scans the area. So that's really cool. But
Yeah,
yeah. I just second Irvin on this. I think we're just keeping our options open for now. But yeah, if anybody has any ideas or projects that they would like to do for Capstone, sorry, not Capstone, the payload, you guys are more than welcome to reach out to me and Irvin and try to pitch your idea. I think that'll be great.
yeah. One member that brought up an idea was Alex about a helium balloon inflating in the rocket. I don't know how serious he was, but I don't know if he wants to explain it. If you're still here, Alex.
Yeah, no, that was that sorry, I can't actually talk right now. It was a joke though.
All right, thank you, Alex.
How to get disqualified 101. Explode a helium balloon 30K up.
No, but yeah, being completely serious, any idea? Do you think it could possibly work as payload? Just talk to us. I know we're gonna have members who are gonna be in Capstone next year. If they want to work on the rocket for payload, we're open to talk with you.
I definitely do. I don't know what's going to go down with payload and if a Capstone team will be decided to take that role, but I'll be so down to work with payload and get a Capstone team together because I will be in Capstone this semester. So
Well, I think whether we find a Capstone team or not, there's like I guess I see there's like some type of race maybe of like who has the idea, the better idea.
yeah,
Payload.
like try to figure something out that's
Yeah.
really good. That's like research. That's really important, because it is the payload. So got to really think about what you're putting on there and the value that it's going to contribute and whatnot. So
Another key thing is the payload has to be a minimum of 8.8 pounds for the competition. So
That's
if
right.
you do have an idea and it exceeds 8.8 pounds, it's looking less and less favorable because we want to be right at that 8.8 pound mark.
Mhm. Any other questions? All right, I guess not. So I'm gonna stop the share my screen and I will stop the recording.